When police first determined one of their own might have been involved in Jesse Valencia's murder, it was not good news for the department. In a candid interview, the former Columbia police chief tells us how this case devastated his department and how CPD recovered from the hit. In part 3 of the Steven Rios series, here's an inside look at how Rios transformed from officer to suspect to convicted murderer. This is Steven Rios at his own crime scene. When Jesse Valencia died on June 5th, 2004, nobody imagined the man who responded to the bloody East Campus scene as an officer of the law would be the one convicted of the murder.
I never would have dreamed that Rios was capable of doing this.
Former Columbia Police Chief Randy Boehm hired Rios. Rios first admitted to a homosexual affair on duty with Valencia. Lab tests revealed Rios' DNA on the victim, and CPD then made the arrest. Jurors convicted Rios on the theory that he killed Valencia to keep both his wife and Boehm in the dark about his affair.
Our officers were angry with him, myself included. And if I'm being perfectly honest, I'm still a little bit angry with him.
A judge threw the first conviction out, then another jury convicted him in 2008. So Steven Rios now sits in the South Dakota State Penitentiary in Sioux Falls, where we visited him this fall. But speaking for the first time since his second conviction, Rios won't admit to the murder.
The people who really matter know that I'm innocent, and it's just, getting through this day and the next day.
If it wasn't Steven Rios...
If you truly do trials and such, you know there's only a handful of ways that you defend your client. And one of them is some other dude did it.
The Columbia Police Department's investigative report shows there were other persons of interest, lots of them, like the chef whose DNA showed up on Valencia after the two had sex fewer than 48 hours before the murder, the roommate of the chef who told police, "I don't care if Jesse's dead," and a man rumored to be romantically involved with Valencia. This person failed the voice stress test and said he wanted to take it again. Leonard tried to use this kind of information to cast doubt in the trial.
I just felt like that the Columbia PD should have kept their net wider and their minds more open. And instead they did just the opposite.
And also William Clench. He met Valencia online and had sex with him. The same William Clench who was convicted in 2009 of murdering his brother-in-law in cold blood in the so-called McDonald's murder. Investigators took a DNA swab, but Clench denied killing him. Some of this information came out in trial, but this report did not become public until a judge denied Rios' appeal this summer. It's why Rios' ex-in-laws say he's not the killer.
We didn't know what other suspects were out there. We now know there were significant and numerous other suspects that they simply stopped looking at.
They stopped looking.
Lots of options, but Boehm says the evidence quickly led investigators to Rios.
I do think that once it started to become clear that there was some involvement of our officer and that he might actually be responsible, if anything, we became more aggressive towards him.
Steven Rios' behavior didn't help. When he admitted the affair, his career and family life were in jeopardy. He threatened to commit suicide twice. The reaction of a killer or the reaction of a cheating husband who knew his life was over?
He realized all his aspirations were being dashed.
It was not tied to Jesse's murder. It was not, on my part, a consciousness of guilt.
We're saying, okay, if you're not guilty of this, why are you reacting that way? And so it actually caused us to reevaluate his possible involvement in it.
We think there was a rush to judgment by the police department to get it off the front page, and because he was an embarrassment to the department.
We certainly didn't rush to judgment that he was responsible. It's been long enough, and I don't want to get into specific details, but yeah, there was specific information that started to eliminate our other suspects. So, if I'm sitting in prison and I've been found guilty of a crime, certainly what I'm going to say is that I didn't do it.
24 jurors, 24-0, have said beyond a reasonable doubt murder, just not maybe. Beyond a reasonable doubt, murder.
That black stain on the Columbia Police Department, it'll always be there.
There's nothing we can do about that other than continue to show that that's not us. That when we found someone within our own ranks who was capable of doing something like that, we aggressively took action to get rid of that person and to get that person convicted.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Steven Rios, guilty of murder in the second degree.
The jurors have spoken that Steven Rios is the one who will spend most of his adult life behind these bars.